And here we are. I'm going to discuss the reasons why somebody becomes a narcissist. I'm overwhelmed with the amount of material that I get through my blog, which is Revelations Through Daddy in Heaven. And it's on WordPress. And I'm impressed with the number of people like myself who just like the pursuit of pain. And so we find ourselves in these relationships that are completely unedifying and they are, in fact, abusive, but they're subtle. They have all kinds of tendencies to deal with hoovering and gaslighting because you're definitely dealing with a narcissist. The problem is we've got endless amount of material that tells us what a narcissist is. And if we're that much steeped in a relationship with a narcissist, we don't really want to face it because of our emotional blinders. And so hence we stay in it longer and longer because of denial. So I'm going to tell you why one even goes into the tendency to become a narcissist, the full blown narcissist, and why they even veered off in that direction in the first place. And it is always the same. It's going to be some kind of trauma. And so it's different when it comes to different cultures. Okay. So when you have white Euro people, you're dealing with all of us who are of Caucasian descent. We are going to be the first to post up and get some therapy and help ourselves. Whereas Black communities are most definitely going to keep that within their tight network and they're not going to discuss it even among their own selves. So at home at dinner, they're not going to even make eye contact and talk about the issue because that's just best unspoken. Latino and Mexican and cultures of that, they're going to use their own resources. And that's going to be because of their strong faith and their ability to just procreate and really hone in on the family unit. So you have, the Mexican and, all of those Asian descents, they are really about trying to work together to stay together. Black culture, we know that that's not certain just because of the way you have like cousins posted up in some of the neighboring family households. Generally, you have at least five siblings um, or more dispersed among other households, and there's only 12% rate of females in the Black community that are even married. And then the whites, you're going to have like, forget about it. We know we got problems, and we're just going to air it out, and we need to get our child some help because they need intervention. So that all creates narcissism, all of it. Okay. Narcissism only is an ego. It is a response to trauma and pain. And trauma and pain are taken in through all of our five senses, all of them. Big one with children is going to be through touch. So if they're crossed a boundary somewhere and someone has touched them or sexually abused them, touch is a big defining moment where it's going to flip in a person and their ego then manifests. Ego is a facade that you create to protect yourself. And most of the time, you actually believe that is your persona, your personality, when in fact it is absolutely not. It is a deviant, it is a manifesto of sorts, because it just masks that childhood pain, the person who you really are, who God intended you to be, and it buffers you. So you're going to go through life into your adulthood, and you may hold on to it forever until you get inner healing that brings you complete wholeness. But it will be that thing that says, "Oh, I'm really a charismatic person. Oh, I'm really a wallflower." It's all malarkey. So ego is basically what you want to dismiss. You want to dumb that down, take down the barrier and the wall on ego so that we can get to our essence. And all of this you can find in Enneagram type of modalities, which is essentially getting to your true self. Your true self, most of us don't find out who that really is until we're in our adulthood, and that's after many mistakes. Hence, I'll use my own example. Um, I've been in relationships that are wacky by cracky. Okay. So I've done the drug addict, I've done the drunk, I've done the narcissist, which was the most recent. And I have also done, oh, dang, there's a litany. I mean, that's sad to admit. So, with all of these, there are different types of coping mechanisms that I morphed into as a codependent or as a victim or I became the actual narcissist. I think back in the day before I was delivered, and demons do exist, by the way, my demonic stronghold was allowing me to gain control over my victim, so to speak, as a narcissist. So being delivered of any problem, coming out on the other side with victory and a sense of peace, and you can breathe deeply, will allow you to look back on a scenario and own your stuff. Just own it. Yeah, I wasn't the best person back then. And that's where I'm at today. So, all of these traumas and these pains, when we take in domestic abuse, so we see our parents fighting, um, maybe one of our parents took it out on us, and mom and dad were unscathed, but the children were the focus, they were the problem, kind of unwanted pregnancies. Unwanted pregnancy in the womb, first and foremost, usurps every ability for that child to be able to function normally in this world. And that's where I believe even birth defects come from. And many people want to poo-poo that, but okay, I don't care what you really think, because I've seen it manifest too many times, especially working in the hood of Savannah for 4 years. So my own expertise has afforded me the right to speak on this because I was unwanted in the womb. So when you take three siblings, for instance, and they're in a room, and dad dies, right? And they're told your father's dead, da da da. They go to the funeral. Each one of those children are going to walk away from that scenario feeling differently, even though it's the same experience. They were told the same way. The message just got rewired, and the synapse didn't meet the neuron in the same exact way with each of those individuals, which is why we all have our own fingerprints. It's pretty important that we recognize our individuality, and because it's godlike, it's spirit-like. But a narcissist, which was the latest venture that I found myself in, they only know how to keep you at bay like this and control your move and belittle you and dismiss you, make you feel insignificant because of something that greatly harmed them before the age of 7. And with many people, I can take it up to 9. That's pretty much the threshold of cognitive development, where they're going to assume that ego that's going to protect them for the rest of their life. So a narcissist fundamentally is just a hurting child, and that, it's sad. That's all it is. When we can extinguish their flame of fight or flight, or making you freeze, or throwing shade and placing blame on you, or making you second guess the things that you're even doing, saying, in hopes of bringing you closer to him or her. It all is this extreme defense mechanism because they have endured something through one of their five senses that has told them that they cannot trust. So the deep issues of trust will always have a person seeking to fill that void through other things and people, whether it's workaholism, alcoholism, sexing, texting, it doesn't really matter. All it points to is they got to feed that void, because if it's going to tap into something that makes them vulnerable, then that tells them they're weak. And the narcissist is most definitely only going to try to control all the things in its environment and in his atmosphere, because ultimately he cannot sit still and find that peace within himself. And you find this commonly among CEOs and really professional and successful people, because they're always going, they're always going, they're always going. And they have that ability to make a snide remark to make you question yourself, because essentially they need to feel on top of the world, when in fact they're dying on the inside. But that's not our place to come in and swoop in and continuously give them compassion and understanding, because they prey on the weakness of people that they see as weakness of that compassion. They will use that to chew you up and spit you out. And we're going to go into many more reasons why a narcissist becomes a narcissist, but this is only the tip of the iceberg.